Hi everyone, welcome back, or just welcome if you're new to my channel. If you are, my name is Jasmine and I like to talk about books. So today I'm going to be filming another recent reads video in which I'll just tell you about all of the books that I've been reading recently since my last recent reads video. So I've read quite a mix of things recently. I've read some poetry and a literary thriller novel, some non-fiction, a classic, and also some children's books as well. So this video is probably going to be a little bit random. I hope there's something that sparks your interest. So the first book that I read recently I absolutely loved, and that was Howard's End by E.M. Forster. This is a classic that is set in London in the year 1910, and we primarily follow the Schlegel sisters, Margaret and Helen, who come from a very well-educated and progressive family, and we see them as they make friends with the extremely rich Wilcox family, and also a quite poor man, Leonard Bast. So there are a few different storylines going on in this novel, one of which is the relationship between the women and the Wilcox family, and there's kind of a dilemma surrounding who is going to inherit the Wilcox's beloved family home, Howard's End. And the other main storyline going on is the women's relationship with Leonard Bast, and when they find out that he is really quite poor, the women try to reach out and help Leonard, but because of his social standing, he is of course just so inescapably distanced from these women, and he finds their offer of help really impossible to accept. I absolutely loved all of the characters in this novel. They were all just so interesting, and seeing the ways in which they differed due to their social positions and upbringings was really, really fascinating. I did love Margaret and Helen the most in this novel though. They're both just so intelligent and strong-willed, which I absolutely love in female characters, but they were different from each other as well. So Margaret is more calm and level-headed, whereas Helen is much more romantic and extravagant. And I absolutely loved all of these different aspects of both of them and kind of identified with different aspects of the two women as well. As is typical of E.M. Forster in his writing, the characters aren't just kind of surface level characters, they also represent the different social classes they come from. So the Schlegels represent the idealistic and liberal middle class, whereas the Wilcoxes represent the incredibly rich and materialistic middle-class capitalists, and the Basts kind of represent the downtrodden workers. And as always with E.M. Forster, I just really appreciated this incredibly interesting and really clever structuring of the novel. So, as is probably clear, I absolutely love this novel and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I already loved E.M. Forster because of his other novel, A Room with a View, which I really enjoyed, but I definitely love this one even more. He's just a brilliant writer. He just creates really brilliant characters that you'll really care about, but also offers massive social insight. What more could I want? Next is a non-fiction book that I actually listened to on audiobook, and I absolutely love this one as well, and I think a lot of different people would like this one, and that is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. This is a memoir-style book in which Trevor Noah recounts tales from his childhood living in South Africa, where he was literally born a crime because he was born to a black mother and a white father. This book is both informative and shocking, but also incredibly humorous at the same time. Trevor Noah just tells us random stories from throughout his childhood, and he openly discusses the violence and crime and discrimination that was rampant in South Africa at this time. And I really felt like I learned a lot about a country that I really didn't know enough about before. So Trevor Noah is actually a comedian, if you didn't know, and his talent for storytelling and making people laugh really came through in these stories, which just made it so much fun. I really appreciated that he included these kind of humorous and light-hearted elements to his stories, as well as the more serious and important elements as well. This is just an all-round brilliant non-fiction book. It's highly entertaining, but it teaches you a lot as well, and I would highly recommend listening to it on audiobook if you can, because Trevor Noah reads it himself and he's just absolutely brilliant. My favourite thing to do for like a solid week or two was go to the gym and work out while listening to Trevor Noah. So this book is brilliant. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Go and read it. Next, I read Lullaby by Leela Slimani, which is a kind of thriller literary fiction novel that is set in modern-day Paris. and it only actually came out a couple of months ago, and I did mention it in my most anticipated books of 2018 video because I was just so intrigued by the premise. Basically, it just opens with a nanny killing the two young children who are in her care. So there is definitely a thriller element to this novel because it does focus around these two murders, and we follow the book kind of leading up to the point where the nanny does kill these two children, and we are trying to figure out why she did it and kind of what was involved. But the book is also just so much more than that. It discusses really interesting themes of race and class difference, and also gender and domestic violence as well, and just all these really interesting themes that kind of contributed to and are relevant to why the nanny is the way she is, and ultimately why she acted in the way she did. So overall, I really did enjoy this novel. I thought it was gripping and a page-turner, and I really liked seeing the way the unusual themes kind of fed into the thriller side of things. I just thought that was so fascinating and a really unique idea. But the writing was also just brilliant in this novel. I really, really enjoyed it. It was translated from French by Sam Taylor, and I thought he did an incredible job. While I did really enjoy this novel, unfortunately, I wasn't as blown away by it as I kind of hoped I'd be. I just thought it sounded so brilliant, and I was hoping that it would be so incredibly clever and insightful that I would give it a 5 out of 5 stars. But it wasn't quite that for me. I kind of felt like I wanted a bit more from it. I wanted to know a bit more about the nanny's backstory and kind of why she became the way she did. But overall, it is a great book, and if it sounds interesting to you, then I would highly, highly recommend it. And overall, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read another book that was actually on my most anticipated book releases of 2018 list, and I was not disappointed by this one in the slightest, and that is Nanette Smith's Don't Call Us Dead. This is a contemporary poetry collection that discusses many issues at the heart of modern day America, such as gun violence towards black people and racism in general, sexuality, in particular what it's like to be a gay black man, and also HIV and what it is like to be HIV positive. The poetry in this collection is just so incredibly important and totally relevant. It really discusses issues that I think we should all be making a bid to kind of learn more about and discuss more, I think. And I really appreciated that Nanette Smith didn't shy away from any of these difficult topics. You really got a sense of his passion and his anger often at these kind of topics, and I really appreciated that. And ultimately, it just really made for such a shocking and really impactful read. Nanette Smith's language choices are also just so beautiful in his poetry, and the imagery that he creates is often just extremely stunning. I was really engrossed by the poetry as I was reading it, and I really just feel like it took me on such a ride. I was shocked and angry and deeply upset, but I was also left feeling quite hopeful because Nanette Smith does infuse his poetry with a kind of hopeful and really uplifting quality as well. This poetry collection is just so incredibly powerful, and if you are wanting to read some contemporary poetry that will really force you to think about a lot of modern issues that are facing different people in the world today, then I would highly recommend this one. And of course, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And then finally, I actually reread 2 Roald Dahl books recently because I just found myself really wanting to revisit his books, and I was really in the mood to reread a couple of my favourite books from him. And then when I was doing this, I kind of decided to set myself a mini reading goal for the year in which I am hopefully going to reread all of Roald Dahl's children's books because I just loved them so much when I was younger. So I started with Fantastic Mr. Fox, which tells the story of Mr. Fox and his fox family when the surrounding farms decide that they're going to kill Mr. Fox because they don't want the foxes to be eating their chickens anymore, and it kind of just follows the family as they decide what they're going to do about this and how they're going to survive. And then I went on and read Matilda, which is my favourite Roald Dahl book by far, and it's just about an extraordinarily bright young girl called Matilda who loves reading, and about her really horrible family that she comes from and what happens from then onwards. So of course, I absolutely love both of these books. Roald Dahl's writing is just so entertaining and humorous and heartwarming, but also quite intelligent as well, and he just creates the best characters that you will absolutely love. I actually listened to both of these books on audiobook, which you can actually find for free on YouTube. I'm pretty sure you can find basically all of Roald Dahl's children's books here on YouTube for free. So that's a tip for you there. I just really enjoyed listening to them on audiobook because I used to listen to them on audiobook when I was a kid, and so this was just so nice and nostalgic for me. If you also love Roald Dahl, then I would really recommend going back and revisiting some of his stories. It's just so fun and nostalgic, and I think you'd really enjoy it. And if you haven't read Roald Dahl before, then I don't really know why, so just go out and do that. So those are all the books that I've been reading recently. I'd love to hear your thoughts on them if you've read any of them, so please be sure to let me know down below. And also just let me know if you've read anything great recently, because that's always fun to hear about too. I do just quickly want to add while I'm here that I really do appreciate it when any of you comment on my videos. Getting comments on my videos is just so lovely and heartwarming, and I just really appreciate it, and I have a lot of fun talking to you guys. So I really just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for anyone, whoever comments, or people who just watch and like and subscribed, just all of it. It's just really nice, so thank you. So I guess that's all for today. Hopefully we can chat down below, and I'll see you all next week with my next video. Bye.